Welcome to Wake Up Excited. In this episode, I talk with the one and only Jeffrey Zeldman. Not only is Jeffrey one of the most influential people in the history of the World Wide Web, he's also one of the most important people in my path in life. He's the author of Designing with Web Standards, which is a book I read while sitting unemployed in my sister's apartment after graduating from college, and which led to me landing my first job as a web designer. He gave me and countless others a platform to write on with the long-running publication, A List Apart. He invited me to speak at his conference, an event apart about web design and development, taught me and the rest of the industry by publishing books through a book apart, many, many other projects, and really his writing on Zeldman.com gave me the permission I needed to write honestly and openly on my own website. So it's a real honor to call him a friend, and it was such a joy to have such a wide-ranging conversation with him. We cover a whole heck of a lot in our chat, including the changing nature of family relationships over time, the importance of vulnerability and sharing things both personally and professionally, the massive power of music and the multi-sensory experience of interacting with art, the dynamic between creativity and making a living while doing creative work, cultivating your own enthusiasm and overcoming self-censorship, finding purpose, meaning, and happiness despite it all, the role of AI in creativity, the value of quiet resistance, the ideals of the early web and how some of them have come to fruition with things like open source software, but also a lot of the negative impacts of the web and social media on society, as well as a whole bunch of other topics. Before we dig in, I'd like to remind you that Wake Up Excited is a totally self-funded show. So if you'd like to support me in this project, I'd love it if you checked out our online courses at bradfrost.com/courses. We have courses about design tokens, design systems, atomic design, and more on the way to help you become a better digital designer and developer. So again, you could check those out at bradfrost.com/courses. Thanks a ton. Now, without further ado, here's my conversation with Jeffrey Zeldman.
What should we talk about today, Brad?
Let's start with the big question. What has you waking up excited right now? What are you excited about? What's turning you on?
That's such a positive way to start. And this is such a non-positive time that I like it
Mhm.
all the more. My daughter's 20.
Oh my goodness.
She's really growing up. She and her boyfriend live here now with me in this apartment, and it's delightful. And I'm also,
Amazing.
I'm sad because this means it'll be a empty nest soon. But I'm happy because at some point your kids start having relationships and you watch them make some really painful mistakes. And this relationship has been really good all the
Mm,
way so far. And it's been going a long
mm.
time, 8 months. And I'm like, I'm really happy for her.
That's amazing. I mean, that has to be just seeing her come into her own. It,
Yeah.
it you're already touching on the bittersweet nature of it, but it's the baby fawn finding their footing, making mistakes, falling down again.
Yeah. There's that. And then there's my daughter has an artist's brain. She was born that way. She thinks differently about
Mm,
everything. I do too, but not so much. Like I feel normal.
yeah,
Probably because I spent more years learning how to hide who I am.
yeah,
Speaking of Dexter,
yeah,
no, I just mean like hide how weird I really am if you get to know me. And
yeah.
just like we all have to do that and let it come out in the art. Well, my daughter, so and like early relationships are bad, often
Hmm.
and boys today. I mean, I was a little gentleman back in my day. There were there were jerk guys then too, for sure. There always have
Yeah.
been, always will be. But a lot of us were sort of raised to be polite, open the door for the lady that you're taking to dinner, all that.
I mean, I was the freaking altar boy. I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
And when I would see kids in relationships that had like a fair amount of abuse or other kinds of psychological pain, or so to just see that fading away and to remember I also had like romantic drama early in life. And
Yes.
now I'm single. I'm really good friends with my ex-wife. I think we'll always be family because we have a kid and because
Yes.
she's really interesting and fun, but we obviously can't live together. Maybe we can't even live in the same state. She's in a different state now. But we're going to do a podcast, I think. So I'm excited about that too. It's not going to be a web
Yeah.
technology podcast,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think it's going to like picture like, you know how the Brady Bunch started with an intro? Like an intro, like who's a lovely lady who got divorced or whatever. I don't know. But just like
Yeah.
make it sound like the horror we went through during a really awful divorce. And then to end up weird friends later in life, it's great. So
Is it going to be like an actual it's
yeah,
is it like an episode, or like you're actually like unpacking it like episodically, like
I
having
think we're gonna
multiple
do a
conversations about?
I think we're gonna do a series. And then
Amazing.
there'll be conversations on various things,
Yeah.
maybe with like a 5-minute segment that Carrie always does. She's real into AI right now, AI governance. So maybe she
Okay.
does 5 minutes on like a prompt or something. I don't know. Or just five
Or
minutes on
not,
libraries or 5 minutes on crafting window displays or whatever.
right?
I
I
don't know.
think that's amazing though, because this show was born out of, I think, a real frustration with the just complete and utter dearth of meaningful and real conversations about hard things that have impacted everyone. And, we've all lived through this collective, trauma that is COVID, but then each and every person is walking around with their own stories, their own experiences, their own hard stuff. And I'm frustrated because, like, is nobody else like gonna acknowledge this or talk about this? Like, we're still out there just kind of like talking about whatever surface level stuff. One of the reasons why I'm so honored to talk to you on this is that I feel like you, perhaps more than any other person who I've had the pleasure of knowing, has modeled what being vulnerable and just saying the hard stuff, even when it's uncomfortable, and just being able to like work through and the process of sharing and talking through it and unpacking it and the storytelling and all of that stuff is is purposeful, is intentional. That's kind of the impetus of the show. The other part of it, and I think that the parallel for the podcast you're just describing with your former partner is like, despite it all, despite it all,
Yeah, that's it.
you are
Despite it
able
all.
to find happiness, find positivity, find the silver lining, find the nuggets, find the lessons. And that's incredible. And I feel like, again, you more than maybe any other person who I've ever known has displayed that.
I'm honored that you say that, but I'm also shocked. I think you're wrong. I
Mhm.
feel like I failed at so many communications of things that were important and just have disappointed people and confused people. I'm aware
We
of
all
those.
have. We
Yes,
all have though.
I'm aware of those transactions and some like, and you're not supposed to regret the past. I used to be able to bridge that gap, like go back to someone after a situation like that and say, hey, and maybe I will be able to again in the future, but there are people I think would actually rather not hear from me ever. I don't feel like I did anything evil. I just feel like things didn't go the way any of us hoped.
Yeah.
And each of us had to accept some sort of shitty compromise.
Yeah.
And if what I thought was the best compromise was different from what you thought was the best compromise, we were going to have a conflict. So I think
Hmm.
it was like stuff like that. So thank you. I love that psychedelic record box. I swear I had the same thing when I was 12 years old. I had 45s in that box.
These ones right here, these 45 ones, were my father-in-law's. When he passed, they made their way to us, and but I loved them, so I ended up
Yeah.
going on eBay and I'm like, are there other cool patterns? And ended up getting them.
I loved holding records in my hands. I didn't go back to vinyl when everyone else did because by then it was like, I'm over it. You
Yeah.
know, I did that for so long. I gave away my whole collection or sold it for like $100 because I was
Wow.
moving in with someone and space was at a minimum.
Yeah.
So we just got
That's New
rid of
York City
everything.
for you.
Yeah,
That's New
it
York
was a,
City for
yeah.
you.
And it's, the commitment is to the person, not to the junk that you brought along. But then, oh my
Well,
God,
sure.
opening, especially like an album that opened like this, and then just
Mm,
staring at all the graphic design when you're a kid while you're
yeah.
listening, it was somehow part of the music experience. And no matter what they do, in Apple Music or Spotify or whatever. They do cool other stuff, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And they have videos and everything, but it's not the same as just
It
sitting there, right? Like
No, not in the slightest.
it was like reading a book while eating a picnic with a friend or something. It was just those things went together so well. Looking at the liner notes while listening to
Yeah.
Miles Davis for the first time, like
Yeah.
reading Leonard Feather's liner notes to try to understand what I was hearing, which didn't sound anything like
Yeah.
what I thought
Yeah.
any like that doesn't sound like rock or jazz. I don't know what that is. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
And you're
Like
looking for clues in
you're
the
looking
liner notes. It's the multi-sensory experience, the tactile nature of it. You're using your eyes and your language centers and all of this other stuff to get to the sound that
yes.
is doing something, and you're trying to understand it and connect with it, to be present with it across like all of your senses, to be
To
fully
to get in
present.
the zone, to be fully present,
And
fully in the zone. Really hearing the music, really hearing the parts and the way they work together and just everything, hearing it.
have you ever listened to music with people and like that's like what you did, like that was like
Yeah.
the activity?
I went to college in Indiana University because they had a great music school and a great English department. And my friend was already enrolled. He had been a bass player, and we were a progressive rock band. Just I'm old. We were a progressive rock band, and we could play songs by the S, and we were also writing our own songs.
Amazing.
Anyway, he'd gone off to be a bassoon major at a university, and he ended up
Yes.
becoming a conductor. So I went to that school. But I remember if he put on a record, he couldn't leave the room. Like if you
Yes.
rang his doorbell, he'd just put on a Clockwork Orange, the soundtrack. He wouldn't even say,
Yeah.
"Well, after time steps, I'll take the record off." No, we have to listen to both sides of the record, like
Yeah.
because he was so present for music. Music was his life,
Yeah.
and he wanted to not ignore. Also, probably on the spectrum, I would guess, but we didn't know that, But and it's part of being able to really hear music. I think is
Yes.
also being, wired a little differently. I don't think it
Yes.
sounds like it sounds pleasant or unpleasant to people, or they can dance or not dance, but they don't hear it the same way people who made music hear it, or people who just love it so much that I think a good audience is, it's like without brilliant people reading books, there's no room for brilliant people writing books, and music's the same way,
Yeah.
right? Without the right listeners, why should it even happen? So,
Yeah.
man,
It's it's such a potent and powerful force that despite having played music the majority of my life by now, I've always loved it.
yeah.
I've always thought of it as here's this fun thing you do, whatever. I like the sound of this. Ooh, this is funky. Oh, this is cool. Like this, an appreciation of music. But it's only really been recently that this thing that I've been a part of, or that's been a part of my life for so long, I didn't really understand the gravity and the real power that it holds to the casual whatever viewer or listener, it's like, okay, well, that's some weird like woo stuff. But when you do connect with and are fully present with it and really understand what this force is and what it can do, you realize how massively powerful it is.
It's magic. It relates to us on a deep biological level, on a pre-verbal, and the
Yeah.
emotions. I've been listening to, I listen to soundtracks sometimes just for,
Mm.
and it's weird how much of the emotion in any, like, imagine watching Lord of the Rings with everything except the music track.
Yeah,
Everything
right.
else is still there, still
Yeah.
just as well active. The sets are
Yep.
just as great, but you
Yep.
just be going like, I watched M, the Murderer is Among Us, the German film that Peter
Okay. Yeah.
Lorre made. So Peter Lorre made a movie about a child murderer when he, as a young actor in Germany, before he and the director split just before
Okay.
the Nazis took over. Right, they got out of Germany, but first he made this movie, and it was so new in the sound uh, process. It was 1929. So
Okay.
they couldn't retroactively add room tone or something to it. So like if they cut to a scene where characters are outside walking, they would just film that silent. And then they wouldn't. So in a silent movie, you wouldn't notice there's no sound, there's no outdoor sound, there's no wind, there's no room tone.
Yes.
You wouldn't notice those things because they were never in a silent movie. People were just playing the piano or the pipe organ.
Yep.
But now, so it's really weird to watch it. It's just like, so I'm in film class. Like you keep getting jerked out of the experience because of these things you hear unconsciously. You just
Yeah.
process them as it's real,
Yeah.
all that stuff. I wanted to
Yeah.
say something too about, I was thinking about how I looked at records as I was really getting into music, and how I drew comics at my desk as a kid all the time I was in school, but I got good grades. I could concentrate on the teacher if I didn't look at them. If I looked down at what I was drawing, this part of
Yes.
my brain was really focused on the drawing, and this part was hearing what they said. If I had to look at them and be aware of the class, I I would get
Yep.
distracted. And
Yep.
because my grades were good, they didn't punish me for it. But I
Yeah.
think that's how I appreciated me. And it's just the sort of distracting one sense with another sense so that you can listen deeper.
Yes.
It seems like it should be the opposite. Like I should get the most into music when I close my eyes and just listen. But
Yes.
I get transported that way and then drift off. And I'm
Yeah.
not real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it is again, you're using your full self and those other senses are being used to listen. And that's like a really like something that's been new to me to really understand. We like to artificially compartmentalize literally everything. Humans are really
Yes.
good at just like drawing like firm boundaries in between these discrete things. Here are your ears, they do this function. Here is your nose, they do this function, and so on and so forth. And when in all, like, we don't experience life in that way,
We listen with
where
our necks. Where like if
yeah,
watch your dog. Watch
everything,
your dog. When your
everything.
dog hears something, not only do the ears perk up, but like, and that's what making my cats
Yes,
do. They don't just take it in; their ears move around as they're listening. Like
yes.
we've blocked awareness of
We,
our
we do it
senses.
with everything. We do it
Yeah,
with everything. And
because
it
our work is
impacts.
abstracted from.
Yes. Yes.
What did you do? I think I'm worth more. I sit at a keyboard all day. I think
Yeah.
clacking in my room on my keyboard, you should pay me more. It, if you
Yep.
think, as opposed to making cheese, planting crops,
Yeah.
flying a plane, driving a bus, like we
Yeah.
do such abstract stuff.
Yeah. It's this disembodied, we're doing creative work by proxy, but then like so that's already like one strike against us. But like in we know this, that like the waters that we've swam in like this industry and how it's developed and stuff like that, like the creative industries, it is totally like, let's lop off any of that sort of multidimensionality, that in order to have good ideas, I need to go doodle. Or in order to go have good ideas, I need to go like listen to this record. Or maybe we should just like think differently about something. Or if we're working on, it's like not enough
Walk in the
time.
woods.
Here's the thing, like these are the tasks that creative people do. And here's like the specific order of them, and like stay in the boxes. And it's it's heart-wrenching because of how much is being left on the table. People's creative capacity, by the time they even show up to their jobs, is already like operating at like 10% of what their potential actually is. And the environments, the context, the technology
What you're
should.
allowed to work on, and
Yeah.
how much of your
Yeah. And it's a
status-based
shame.
assessments. And that not all workplaces are like this. Where I work is not like this, but I've been in many workplaces that are exactly like this, where like
Yeah.
status-based decisions and all this. Yeah.
It's yeah, whatever Henry Ford, assembly
Yeah.
line Taylorism. It's prioritizing replication and all of that, and
Repeatability.
predictability. Yeah, yeah, that's it.
McDonald's doesn't make the best hamburger. They just make identical hamburger anywhere.
Billions upon billions served, or whatever they say on the sign. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Uh, yeah, it's. I don't know, like how you perceive creativity, how you define it, and through the course of your life, having been through these different epochs and eras and mediums, like now that you are where you are, how do you what's your view on creativity?
A simple thing to say is the way things are going, we will all have to be even more creative to survive.
Hmm.
That isn't new. We had to be more creative to survive during the gig economy.
Yeah,
And there were winners and losers, and the winner is somebody who gets to spend at least a little time with their family and friends. And the losers
yeah,
are the people who, in order to feed their children, can never see them because they got three
yeah,
jobs. And it's not fair. None of this, it wasn't set up to be fair. But
yep.
we had enough chips. It wasn't a good chocolate chip cookie, but the chips were good. Like we had
Yeah.
enough little we were like, I think I'm eating a big pile of shit. Oh wait, that was a chocolate chip. Okay. You know, there was, I mean, my dad did better than there was this explosion of from poverty to the middle class. My
Yeah,
dad was really the peak of American middle class. It was
yeah,
probably in the mid 70s. And then we started outsourcing and everything else. And
yeah,
anyway, so people are pretty freaked. And I just know I have a friend who's job hunting right now, and they can do anything. They're super gifted.
yeah,
And that's what they're actually crafting multiple, like rather than pick one and say they've been out of the job market for a while raising family.
yeah,
Now they're back in the job market. That's very hard to re-enter. On
yeah,
top of which, above 35, let's say, it's like they'd rather hire someone younger that they can train for 2 months, who costs one third what they think they're going to have to pay someone who has a house and kids or whatever,
yeah,
right? So it's very hard. But this person is just kind of like when you go out as a consultant and say, I can do just the redesign for you. I can build you a whole design system. I can just work on the back end and work with your designers. Like,
yeah,
you just keep on, off, it's like that. And that's what we have at our jobs too, right? So it makes sense. Actually, it's Carrie, and she wrote this beautiful thing on Blue Sky, like a couple. No, she wrote it on her website, and I quoted it on Blue Sky. But it was, I've never been what an algorithm looks for. I think
Yeah.
if it wasn't that, it was close, and it's none of us are. I think is the point
Yeah.
that you were making.
Yeah.
And we try to listen. I,
Yeah.
I went to a really good headhunter before I started working at Automatic. I went to a really good headhunter, and she didn't know what to do with me
I
because
wouldn't know what to do with you either. That's like, yeah.
I know nobody knows what to do with me, but
That's a
but
good thing. That's a feature, not a bug, Jeffrey.
but I didn't fit into any of the, and these were like, this was a high class headhunter. These were 6-figure paying jobs,
Yeah.
at good
Yeah.
companies. And she just,
Yeah.
I don't see you working. I don't think there
Yep.
were many places I could have gone, to be honest. I'm not even sure. I think I was very lucky there. I can think of like maybe two other also sort of open sourcey, you know,
Sure.
but
But that's just it. It's like the ethos. And that's like there's a couple ways you can that could hit a person. One, I am deficient. There's something wrong with me. I don't fit into these boxes.
I'd
And
never
oh God,
succeed.
what's wrong with me? These boxes are screwed up. Like that's been like one of the biggest revelations to me is just questioning boxes in general. It's just like the boxes are there back to the predictability, the repeatability of something, the the risk aversion to a lot of things, right? Here's what this is, oh, we need another one of these people, and we need that name to fit in the Excel spreadsheet right next to the other person who does that.
I
And
can't
that's
even use
how this
spreadsheets.
stuff is viewed. Yeah.
I just when I have to use it, even, and I work with creative people. I work with very creative people who their process is that they fill items into a spreadsheet and then look at it.
Hmm.
Just looking at a spreadsheet makes me feel like I'm being drowned in an elevator. The water's going up and the door will never open. And I'm just like, honestly, I have like panic over the simplest, most basic stuff. It's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. But
I
it's
can't balance a checkbook. I was running a business for several years before I got a bookkeeper and an accountant. I was running a business when I could, and I would pay people twice. I just suck at that.
yeah.
I have native mathematical ability, but I can't. Something's wrong, and I don't know whether it's psychological trauma or just your brain doesn't work that way, dude. I think it's
Yeah.
the latter. I think I was too Freudian about it earlier in life, but now it's just like, yeah, it's not how I
Yeah.
feel about my father, why I can't count. It's numbers do something weird to my head.
I mean, the same holds true for other people, right? Like they would look at you and your ability to, invent and do all this stuff, and they're like, I don't do that, right? Like you hear that all the time. Oh, I can't draw, or I can't play music, or I can't, like it's people do that all the time, and there are, yeah, we can't. We're
Yeah, well,
uneven.
children do. Children, they
Yeah.
just don't know. They don't know that Puccini writes better melodies than them, so they keep on making up melodies.
Yep. Yep.
I got to a
Yeah.
point when
And
I left music where I was telling myself, look, there's so much great music by people who are better than me. I'm not going to attain that level anyway. So to try to eke out a living anymore, silly. But now I don't know if that was the right decision. I think the people who ultimately, you know, it means Tom Waits was willing to have a lot more bad meals
yeah.
and sleep in a lot more bus stations until he finally made it.
Yeah.
And I was like
Yeah.
29 and I was just like, this isn't going to happen. This is, and other things that I put my hand to, I can get paid. This is not
Yeah.
working.
I think there's a lot there, and the decoupling of here's this thing that you're passionate about, that this truth that that is music, and let me get paid for that, and let me have my ability to eat and have a dwelling be tied to that. I walked away from the music industry kind of before I began, but that was the path I was on, right? Like that's what I was trying to do. And I kind of once got exposed to the industry part of the music industry, I'm really glad I acted on my instincts because I was like, I love music so much that witnessing all these miserable people just grinding and not being very happy, all of the stuff that goes around there, right? Like the actual like performance, the actual like act of making music, playing music, and that experience is amazing. And that's the thing that has to like drive the Tom Waits of the world like through in order to get through all of that
That's right.
other
What?
hardship that goes with it.
Yeah. But the guy who played Anthony Soprano, he'd been doing minor roles for years. And there's actors I see now on shows playing fathers and grandfathers. And I'm like, I don't remember that guy. And when I look, because they were a mailman with one
Yeah.
line in
Yep.
a Arnold
For
Schwarzenegger
decades.
comedy that
Yeah.
and for decades,
Yeah.
and you just, you know,
It's hard. It's hard. And like that's like the the interaction between creativity, art, and money is a really interesting thing because on one hand, like it has to be viable in order for people to be able to do it. But on the other hand, like there is like so much potential for the money part or for like just that reality part to just totally stifle and be that just wet blanket that otherwise does things. Like I've been kind of coming back into music
I've
after
seen that.
15 years kind of away like I play every day, like I play music every day, but I didn't really like it was just a personal act, right? And it's only been recently that I've been actually like sort of like stepping out a little bit more and actually maybe, starting to flex the muscles a little bit more. But I will say, and I've met now other people who are on the other side of it doing what you were describing. It just, that grind, that hard dance, and to be able to kind of come back in it where it's like my my livelihood, my ability to earn money or like to to just have this really hard line between like I am not doing this at all for money. In fact, like please keep it as far away from me as possible
Right.
so that I'm able to enjoy myself. It's a really fascinating thing, and is something that I think a lot of people wrestle with, where they're like sort of trying to bridge their creative selves with what they do for money, and it's a it's a challenge. It's like such like I don't have I don't know. Do you have like
But see,
advice for
so yes. So as web
anybody?
designers, the creativity, like it didn't feel like selling out. It felt like
Yeah,
building success while learning new skills
yeah,
that other people and figuring things out and sharing the knowledge like
yeah.
you and I both did. Like I just figure I have no idea if this is right, but here's a way of thinking about this, that like all that was
Mhm.
joy. What I do now brings me joy. But I think my nightmare used to be like if you were Dave Brubeck quartet, no matter what, you had to play Take Five at the end of the night.
Yeah,
No matter what. If you didn't do an encore of Take Five, everyone's mad.
yeah,
And he didn't even write Take Five. His sax player, Paul, wrote Take Five. And it's like, and like how many improv means it's different every time, but how can you really do 50,000 improvs on that same ding, ding,
yeah.
ding, 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 ding? That seemed like a nightmare. Or like King Crimson's first album, 21st Century Schizoid Man. I used to wish I could play that. And I imagine being that creative, and and they changed every time they made a record, it was
Yeah.
different personnel, different. But the alternative would be to have gone around and still be playing that in their 60s. And
Yeah.
that might be not so much fun,
Yeah.
to like not, yeah. Anyway,
One
I
of one of
think,
my favorite one of my favorite Onion articles is it was man comments on washed up musician entering the fifth decade of doing what he's always loved. And it's like the whole article is about that person. It's like, oh, when was the last time this guy had the hit? Like, oh, in the 80s. Look at him out there. He's like still like out there. What an embarrassment. And it's like, meanwhile, like he's getting up on stage, playing music that he wrote for thousands of adoring fans. It's like, oh, what a failure. Like what
right,
a
right.
what a tragedy. So it's like
I think
it
Willie
is. It's
Nelson's
like,
happy on the road.
yeah, yeah. And I think that there is I think that there's like a really interesting bit to this because there are some people that are restless, the King Crimsons, the David Bowies, the
Right,
Princes, like that, the people
right.
that are just like kind of constantly reinventing. The Madonnas, like just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I can't sit still. I'm always going forward, Picasso, and so on. And then there's other people who they find a groove and they find a niche and they find like a thing that they feel comfortable in and are able to go deeper, right? Like so there's and it takes all kinds, right? It's like you
You
have
might have a period
trailblazers.
where you do that,
Sure.
right? Like I had a
Yep.
period where I was excited about web standards, and I felt like I had to teach people because it was important. And
Mm,
that carried me for like maybe 5, 10 years. And then I didn't want to talk about that anymore. I felt
yeah.
like it was now getting down to the detail. I felt like there was an emergency.
Yeah.
Rally, everybody, there's an emergency.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it's no longer an emergency. And now there's
Yeah.
specialists coming in who are like, another really cool thing you can do. And I was like, math, I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
I've done,
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
to move on now. Like, because
Yeah.
that, all the really
That's right.
cool stuff.
And
Uh,
I think that you're onto something there because it's like there is the environment and the zeitgeist and the what's available, what the opportunities are, you sort of see. You see the current challenges and you go, well, that's an interesting problem to work on, right? And that's like that's what you did. That's what you did. And you realize that you can't do it alone and that this requires a community effort and it's like you get the fellow travelers and you know brute force it into existence. It's freaking
yes.
amazing, right?
But keeping
And then
something
there's
going for 20 or 30 years is a different business
yeah.
entirely.
Well, it's
This is why
but it's
many
like that's it.
founders.
It ultimately becomes a solved problem, right? Like our friend Jen Robbins, like she wrote, learning web design, and I'm actually like being a technical reviewer on like the new version. And there's
This
all
is
the
great.
stuff that I remember reading in your book about like, here's like the doc type and all just the gobbledygook of like the different types. And it's like, man, that's now a historical footnote thanks to all of your all's effort. But like, if you're someone coming into this and there's like
You
getting
don't
into
even
this
hear the
field,
footnote. Of course not.
you don't even need the footnote.
Why would you? I don't really
It's
need to
kind of
learn about a
there,
floppy disk if I'm 3 years old.
right?
That knowledge is not,
Exactly.
unless
But at
grandpa
the
wants
same
to tell
time,
me in my day.
there's
Mhm.
always a window. There's always a window. There's always the present. And there's always what's what are the opportunities? What's hard? What's like what do we see playing out? What's the potential and what's hard? And that's like a great kind of like lens by which to literally point at anything and you can kind of find some interesting stuff to dig into and problems to solve. Like if it turns you on, like, oh wow, that's interesting. Like,
And if
oh,
you
I
burn out
don't
on those problems, it's just
just
time
look.
to change.
Yeah,
Yeah. Change your focus.
just
Yeah.
look differently, right?
I have
And
one
people
other
don't give
thought on
themselves
musicians.
permission to that. Yeah. Sorry, go
People
for it.
don't give themselves permission to think differently. I want to hear that. I just wanted to, in brackets, really quickly say,
Please.
the musicians who've been able to have the longest careers and the most success are the ones who took over their own careers, ended up making their own record companies, their own management companies. Beatles did it, Stones did it, and it goes on and on and on forever. It's still happening today. The people who
Yeah.
make their own. So you have to be good at business too. And that's the other thing. A lot of people who are soulful musicians suck at business
Yeah.
because they don't, it's what they just want to be out there doing what they love. Like the
Sure.
Onion said, doing what they've always loved. They don't want
Yeah.
to hear about the money. And if they're lucky, the person that they hired to do the money for them is honest.
Yep.
And
Right.
also smart and also farsighted. But that doesn't
Yeah.
always happen. And you could have like an honest, great person, but maybe they're not looking 10 years down the road for you. It's
That's
not
right.
their job to do that. And if you can't do it for yourself, yeah. So
Right.
I'm gonna I wonder if you've seen this thing. So I still use Instagram and I get a lot of ads on Instagram. I don't know about you, and almost all the ads are related to music, even though I'm not a professional musician and I haven't published any. I don't know why, but all this I must have shown interest in. So now it's to the point where maybe you've seen this too, unless you have somewhere blocking Instagram ads. I don't. I just,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
ads are what pays for the service. Fine. These ads, like woman types something into the keyboard, turns into MIDI notes on what looks like a sequencer.
Yep.
That it's a DAW. Turns that and then uses this other app which has like 100 AI sampled voices to make an opera singer sing it, or to make, so you could basically imitate things. Like if Frank Zappa had this, he would not have left the house. But like,
Yeah.
but you don't have to go, oh man, I can only pay you 4 hours of rehearsal time, but this is fiendishly difficult and it's
Yeah.
almost impossible to sing. And here it is. No. So there's like, I don't know. Live people playing together is still the best way music gets made. There's no doubt. But I do love studio assembly of things. And I do think it's really fascinating the amount of stuff we can do now with DAWs and samplers and synths and just all the stuff. And
It's the tools are infinite now. Like it really is infinite. Once it all got sucked into a computer, it's infinite.
and here's the justification for someone who says, "Oh, you're taking away someone's job." No, if Frank Zappa were using this tool instead of paying an opera singer, that could be considered taking away someone's job. But if Joe
Mhm.
Blow, whose music only matters to Joe Blow and their 5 friends, that wants to hear what their music would sound like with an opera singer, this simulation of it isn't putting anybody. It's like I summarize when I have work conversations, I'll use AI to just always letting the person know I'm recording. But we all,
Sure.
I think, like, print me out a summary of what was just discussed so I can remember everything we discussed and the next steps. It doesn't have to be perfect. I can fix the errors if it has any, but right, I have that. But am I taking away an intern's job? No, I don't have an intern. Before I had AI, I had to do it myself. I had to do manual transcription.
Yeah.
I'm not putting
Yeah.
anyone out of a job by letting AI transcribe a
Yeah.
video conversation that
Yeah.
I'm not publishing or making money from. I'm just using to make sure I don't disappoint my partners as to what we've just agreed to.
Right.
So,
These
so
are tools. These are tools.
tools for creative people. That your theme. What is creativity? Everybody has it, and everybody uses it, even if it's just how am I going to get my bag into the overhead compartment on this tiny plane? That's creativity.
A hundred
Or
percent. And
how am I
people,
going to get everything into this suitcase? Like, hey, you can't bring all that on this little suitcase. Yes, I
yep,
can. Watch me.
yep,
That's
yep,
creativity.
100%. And
I'm
everyone
out of,
has it,
yeah,
and most
everyone
people
has it.
don't know it. And most people don't
They
know it.
use it, people use it, but it's sort of like me using a self-defense move without studying martial arts. I might, I might instinctively duck or
Yes.
try to block your punch, but doesn't mean I'd be doing it well.
Right. And it's the kind of giving people permission and kind of modeling creative behavior that I think is something that's really interesting to me, is to
You
help
do it.
people is to help people realize that it's like whenever because you've gotten this so much. Jeffrey, like how do you how did you do what you did? How could I do that? How could I be the one on stage? How could I be the one making that website, right? You've gotten that, no doubt,
Yeah.
right? What do you answer? Like what's your answer to that?
Well, depends on who the person is, what the context is. But
That's
like,
true.
for example,
An event apart an
how can
event
I give a
apart attendee.
I want to give a keynote address at South by Southwest. How can I do that? Have you
Yeah.
written any blog posts?
Yeah.
Have you published them anywhere besides your blog? Okay. You don't have a blog? Start there.
Yeah.
But only 5 people are reading it. That's okay.
Yep.
Write for those 5 people for now. It's okay. Like, give yourself time, right? Just keep the goals in mind. Do the next right thing. Same as
Yeah.
anything. Do the next right thing. Have a plan. Be free to modify the plan because life changes and stuff changes all the time. And you don't want to be, I don't know what that's called, like fixated, right? You
Yeah.
don't want to be someone who
Yeah.
can, like, I
Yeah.
have an uncle who can't eat any white food. I don't know what that's about, but you don't want to have
Yeah.
that in your
Right.
life.
Right.
You don't want to
Right.
have that in your life.
Right.
So
Yeah, that ability to one just like show up and do the thing despite it all, right? It's like
despite it
w-
all,
yeah. I mean that's really it's such a theme where it's just like well you just do it because you want to, right? Like I've realized how much obviously we've been talking about like the environments that we are in or at the workplace environment and the culture and like there's the limitations of time and money and different people with different privileges and burdens and disadvantages, but at the end of the day, and like those things are real, don't get me wrong, but as time goes on I'm starting to think that the primary things are not those like that like why people don't exercise their creative selves more. It's in the I you self-censor, you talk yourself out of it before you ever get going, or you're ignorant or oblivious to the fact that that's even an option that you could just like
also you
go
build
do.
habits.
Yeah.
Negative, I mean, what do you, not negative like bad, but negative like not exercising can become a habit just like exercise.
Yeah.
Exercise works if
Yeah.
you make it a habit. Not exercising is easier to acquire the habit of, and it's very hard to lose that habit.
Right. But
So,
it is that mentality. It's the
yeah.
mentality more than anything. If you want to be on stage, giving a keynote, well, what are you talking about? What are you talking
What do
about?
you want to share?
What do you want to
What
share?
knowledge do you want to share? Exactly.
Right. Be interested. Be interested. Like find something that sparks your gets your juices flowing, or again like that window. Oh, here's a fun problem to solve, or here's like a thing that just like it's popped up in my mind like 3 times. Listen to that. Like take that signal, right? Like there's like a lot of times I feel like people are just like waiting for that permission that no one's inside your brain but you. And like we have to like learn how and that's kind of like what I've done. I've dialed this knob like way up to 11 like recently, is just being like I'm just going to do what I feel like doing. And I know that what I feel like doing is good and it is going to have good outcomes. And I'm not going to second guess those instincts. I'm not going to talk myself out of them. I'm not going to say, yeah, but is anybody going to like this or nope. I it's in me. I feel it. This is something that I want to do. This is something that I want to exist. This is something that has been gnawing at me for a while. I'm gonna freaking do something about it.
It's
And
great.
it can be that easy. And I think that like as time goes on, like this is like something that I've been like actively like working on. It's just like it really is just our anxiety, worry, nobody's gonna like this, whatever. Like we just talk ourselves out
Yeah,
of
the
so many
or
good things in life.
with the tapes that keep playing, your dad telling you, "You're so clumsy, you'll never be good at sports."
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
funny thing, you were never good at sports. Was he just accurate?
Exactly. Right.
Was the old man accurate, or
Yeah. The
was it cause and
self-fulfilling
effect?
prophecy.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right. And it's like, and that sucks because it's like the relationships, especially like early in our lives, like really matter and shape us. And some of that stuff, like when you get like, you know, over a certain threshold of yikes, and I can't even like feel like speak like explicitly about it, but it's like that stuff is like it in some respects it's irrevocable, right? It's like there's this like developmental window where it's like if you didn't get a certain kind of nurturing or if like the opposite happened to you, it's like there is like
there's a
you can
recovery
cope.
process possible with a lot of work, but
Yeah.
it's never going to be the same.
Right.
It's
But
like Braille is never going to be the same as looking at a printed page, but
right.
both people can get the information they need.
Right. Right. But for like we'll say like for more
You know,
mild cases where you have people
right?
who are like more or less supportive in your life, people are a good influence or a
Yeah.
negative influence on your life, you you carry that with you. You carry those relationships with you and their words and their the energy that they put point towards you. You carry that with you
People put
in good
pictures
ways
of
and
their
bad.
family in their office. And before I had kids, before I was married, I would sit in, right? And I would sit in somebody's office and go, why do they have a picture of their kid? Why do they like it just seemed they're so straight and boring and conventional. Man, that guy's a square. Oh God. Go home. Don't go to the club, buddy. Like just I was like so much felt superior. I have no idea why. And then I had a kid and like looking at her picture can like remind me why I have to do the hard thing, why I have
Yeah.
to do the next thing that I don't want to do or don't want to face. And I do it gladly. And that's the real magic. Like people, we love people who support us, even if imperfectly, and we're all imperfect in our support of each
Yeah.
other. All you can do is try. But yeah, it's magic. It really makes a difference. It's like how some like how I guess John McCain withstood torture in the Hanoi Hilton by telling himself it's not really pain or whatever it is,
Yeah.
or
Right.
I'm doing this for the flag that I love.
Yeah.
Whatever it was that he was able to tell his nervous system to ignore what was meant to
Yeah.
make him miserable. I
Yeah.
don't know how he did it. I couldn't do it, but I know that he held on to his beliefs, and that's what
Yeah.
sustained him. Whatever
Yeah. Yeah.
religious beliefs, patriotic beliefs, whatever it
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
something got him through
Yes.
that, and we all need that, and we're going to need more of it
I think
because
in yeah. And that's like why we're having, I think, this conversation because like it does feel like this moment in time is just so incredibly shallow. Like we really have chipped away at the foundations of deeper meaning and belief. Like it really see like as you like look out into the world, like it's just so much just seems to be it's like what's any of this for? And there's not a good answer. And I think that that's what like a lot of people's collective dismay is, even if they're not articulating it. But like everyone's kind of just frantically like foaming and in this very churny and noisy and just kind of this surface level. Here's that. Like I put it, I put this in two different buckets. There's like the political situation, which is this rotating ball of just chaos, and then you have like this sort of like we'll say in our neck of the woods a little bit. You have like the sort of AI hype cycle chaos, like everyone's just like kind of like churning and whatever. And I found myself, like whenever you're at a party or you're in like a noisy room, you you make your way outside and there's a rocking chair there. And we get a chance to sit down and it's quieter and you can focus and you can actually have a meaningful conversation and a deep conversation instead of just this. It's like surface level, noisy, and there's no
One on
getting out of
one.
that room. There's no getting out of that room and just going out on the deck or going out on the porch.
Those are, you're right. Like a one on one at a party, that's when you fall in love. Like the one person you both felt the need to leave and the chaos is going. You hear people laughing and screaming and breaking stuff and dancing, big rock beat, big hip hop, whatever. And you're
Yep.
just like, okay, big hip hop, Jesus, big hip hop. Anyway,
You just invented
you're,
a new genre, Jeff.
yeah, but so big beat, and you're falling in love on the porch, or you're
Right.
just having quiet time. It's that thing when when the bank has a poster that shows two old people sitting on a bench wearing track clothes. It's not supposed to be depressing. You're not supposed to go, those poor bastards can't afford their medication and they're going to die soon. You're supposed to go, that's true love. And
Yeah.
they're having their golden years together. How
Right.
wonderful. Like fantasy.
Right.
That
Right.
happens for most people.
I feel like the overwhelming majority of whether we're talking about news cycles or hype cycles or just like so many of the conversations, the what's it all for and what are we actually trying to accomplish here is so far removed. If it's said at all, it's like in between the lines a little bit. And it's like I think that like in this moment we need that depth, that meaning, that to take a step back and actually just be like, what exactly are we doing here? Like, what
Do you
are
think
we
there's a
trying to
place
accomplish?
where do you think those conversations, if at all, if anywhere, are happening now?
That's a good question. I really don't know. Like, you
Group
can't say
chats on
church.
Signal?
You can't say church. You
Well,
can't
in
say
some
Twitter.
churches, you can't say.
Yeah, sure.
For
But it's
some
like,
people on Twitter, some people are very happy on Twitter right now.
right,
I
sure.
don't,
Yeah.
and I see,
It's
yeah, I still see Mr. Sulu. I follow him on Blue Sky. I'm mostly on Blue Sky, but I forget what. Oh, there was a link in a news article to to one of his posts, Mr. Sulu. You know who I mean? I'm just blanking on the actor's name. Love this actor from Star Trek.
LeVar Burton.
No, earlier Star Trek. Mr. Sulu. He was in a
I
Japanese
was
internment camp as a
Oh
child.
yeah, oh yeah, sure. Yeah, yes.
He's
Yeah, and he's a very vocal. I know exactly
but
who you're talking
he's
about,
still
but
on
yes, yeah,
Twitter too
yeah,
because there's people there and he wants to reach them. But I
sure.
don't know how he or some of these other people have the courage to keep posting because instantly bots and Russians and Elon fanboys start saying, "Well, that shows what you know," or you just like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
instantly becomes mudslinging, and I'm like, dude, you're 80. You don't have to put up with that. Leave. But,
yeah. I
I
think
don't.
there's a really interesting one of the things that I've really been picking at is just like some people show up and fight in different ways. And I think that there tends to be this fallacy and it comes out in the form of if you're silent, it means that you're complicit, right? And and in
They mean
certain
you're
respects,
uncomfortable, or there's just no point raising an issue with an audience that already made up its mind.
there's a lot of factors about like why
Yes.
that's a kind of unhealthy attitude. I get it. I think like so many things, it's coming from a good place, but at the same time, like one of the things that I've learned is that there are many different ways of fighting, of showing up, of doing your part to, you know, be, do the right thing and show up and try to make the world a better place. And what my version of that or your version of that or someone else's version of that, right? It's like I'm not going to be the person standing on a cop car throwing a brick through the windshield. That's
Yeah, that's
not
never going to be me either.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, but for some people it is, right? And I think like the fallacy that we get into is that like people say, well, we in order for you in order to demonstrate that you care, you need to do these specific things.
Yeah. But yeah, no,
And
I think
on one hand there's like a responsibility that we all share a responsibility. How
yes,
we go about
the
addressing that
execution
responsibility,
is an
the execution.
individual thing.
Mhm.
And you just turned 40 and you sound like you just turned 40. Like
Mhm.
you sound wise. You're still very young, but you'll believe me at my age, 40s, supple, youthful, dewy, covered in mist. But you have the wisdom to go, yeah, maybe I have a friend that thinks, if you're not throwing that brick through the window, then you're not politically committed. Now's the time.
Yep.
But maybe you're doing it quietly.
Yep.
I don't know how much I can say. Diversity is still a very big part of our hiring where I work, and it always will be.
Yeah.
And we still say it is.
Yep.
We haven't tried to make grandstand it or say to the press, we're fighting back. We're just quietly
Yeah.
continuing to do the right thing. That seems to be the way we're comfortable. And I've asked leadership, do we want to be out front with this and say this is what we're doing, or do we want to just, maybe not put that target on ourselves
Right.
immediately? And it's like Schindler didn't say, we both saw Schindler's List. I think he didn't say, by the way, I'm going to hire a bunch of Jews and save their lives, because that wouldn't have helped.
Right. Right.
He just quietly did it. And I'm not comparing, but in a much milder way, not complying with the unwritten rule that now you just have to hire white people, probably preferably men, and certainly nobody who can't say that,
Yeah.
certainly nobody with gender issues or whatever,
Yeah.
just not doing that. Just not,
Yeah.
you cannot do that without throwing a brick through the window. And I'm not like we're not taking shots at the person who throws the brick through the window. That's their correct expression.
That's their thing, right? But this is I think another really like I'm glad that you brought that up because I think that it's really important and profound. So much of what has grown up around the web, which has really just fanned these flames, is the exhibitionism, one way or the other, right? And what we're seeing is that exhibition on full display, right? We're
But now
seeing
it's
this
presidents too,
this is a
right?
performance. This is a
Right.
performance, and then the counter to it needs to be a performance, and all of this stuff. Meanwhile,
Right.
so
Right.
much of life and so much of life and just what we're seeing now in this present moment as we're recording this is like all these like civil servants are being getting the can, and it's a tragedy because these people are the unsung just bedrock, the infrastructure, the foundation. There's
Yeah.
nothing sexy or performative about any of this stuff.
No,
It's just the work. It's the work. It's people showing up.
it's as
It's
if they
people.
politicized hospital workers and went in and said, I don't see why we need oncologists. They do nothing. These oncologists are idiots. This
Yes.
17-year-old with his hand down the front of his pants knows more than these oncologists. We're getting
Right.
rid of all the oncologists.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
and we're going to keep the MRI machines, but fire anyone who knows how to use them.
Right.
So,
Right.
okay, I've just found $10 million in fraud and waste. No, you
Yeah.
haven't. You've just
Yeah.
broken something that took 100 years to build,
Yeah.
because
Right.
you have this fantasy, this libertarian fantasy. I have a friend who's really smart and he's a libertarian, and Someone else I admire was a libertarian, and I get it up to a point, but firefighters. Do you know what I mean? Like I get
Yeah.
that the
Yeah.
government intrusions can seem burdensome, and that sometimes in some doing business in some states, you have to go get another piece of paper signed. You have to pay $130 for this
Sure.
stupid form that you fill out
The bureaucracy,
every
sure.
3 months. And if you don't do that, they'll fine you. And like I get how, especially people who are better at business than I am, who make lots of money, would go like, these people are interfering. But that interference is why most of the country has drinking water that's potable.
Yeah. Right.
And we're going to lose that. It's why
Yeah.
most flights don't crash. And we're
Yeah.
turning that around and just, yeah.
And
So
it and it all comes back to the like, what's all this for, right? It's like,
what's it for? Yeah.
why 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 do we prioritize potable drinking water in planes that don't crash? Why do we spend money on healthcare? What's it all for? And at some point in time,
What do they think?
you need
We
to,
have the worst healthcare and you take that away. What do you think's going to happen?
yeah, right.
And
And
then you've got
so,
this idiot in charge of America's health. What do you think's going to happen when there's rubella outbreaks and when diseases that were wiped out in my father's childhood come
yeah,
roaring back to
right,
kill
right.
young people?
And I think that
And just
this is
in spite of which, we still have to get up in the morning and find joy. That was your theme at the very beginning, and I think it's
yep,
important to restate that. I
yes,
think
right.
that has to be part of the conversations that you're starting. Like, yes, how do we make a meaningful difference in this time? And also, how do we put our own mask on first?
Yeah. Yeah. It's what I tend to see. And in this moment in time, I see everyone, including some of the people I love most in this world, utterly and completely consumed by something that they ultimately cannot control. Right. And it breaks my heart because I can almost hear, in certain respects, like the clock ticking really loudly around like, how much more time? And I'm seeing the majority of your waking hours spent just shedding anxiety and guilt and ruminating over this stuff that ultimately it is problematic, and it is hard. And but I'm also like, oh my God, like I really don't want you to lose some of your remaining years just spending your waking hours just fretting about this stuff and just going and I see this like writ large. And there's something that's important that I need to say, which is, the answer is not put your head in the sand and put your happy music on and find your joy and just like give a middle finger to your responsibility to the outside world. But there's a balance here, right? We have to balance our own happiness, tranquility, health, and everything with our responsibility to the greater world, right?
We can't
And
help our kids if we're not alive anymore.
there it is. There it is. And it's like that doesn't seem so, kind of coming all the way back to, there's like this like performance, and there's this like real like exhibitionism going on, and it's like here's how you like fight, and you need to throw the brick and you need to do all that. It's like, no, no, no. The real fight, the real way to fight, first and foremost, is taking care of yourself, taking care of your kids, taking care of your family, being a part of your community, making the cash register, yeah, like the the cashier smile, doing the holding the door open for people, right?
Shopping
It's
locally.
that's it. That's it. It's just like living life in a healthy and positive way is so much, it is an act of rebellion at this point. It seems it's like
It-
really
So
crazy.
are you saying we should move to Switzerland
Something. Yeah. That or New Zealand. But
or
like,
bring those countries, bring those
but back
governments
to what
here?
you were
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
back to what you were saying though about work. It's just it's the quiet, because like as soon as you, yeah, like plaster a label on it, like literally like government policy right now is just operating on like a find and replace level, which is comically shallow, like just comically shallow, right? And when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, if you like really strip that down into like what values we're talking about, it's we like people, whoever you are, that's it, right? So that's just like a human value, right? But like whenever you like attach like these like labels or you do like the things, it gets people into like hot water on both ends of the thing. So it's like the answer is to just continue to model good behavior, care for people, empathize with people, do that stuff, but not necessarily be like, here's my, you know, you don't need the megaphone, and you don't need the rewards or the badge or the whatever it is, that like kind of external thing. You just kind of do it. I don't know. I'm struggling with it because it's like I know that to be true, and I'm trying to find the ways to like articulate it in a way that is like, I know that if I were to like be out there yelling and fighting and can you believe this shit and like all that stuff, that is exactly what they want. That is their fuel. That is their absolute, like that is just like putting it straight into their bloodstream. Like they want that outrage, they want that attention, they want all eyes to be on them at all time, and I refuse to give it to them. At the same time, I care very deeply about the real harm that is happening from
Right.
the actions, right? So I'm like, I in my mind, I'm like kind of creating this like curtain. There's people behind this curtain who are just shitty. Like, and you could expect whatever comes out from behind that curtain is going to be bad and shitty and
Stop
gross.
recoiling in horror. Stop, or no, don't stop recoiling in horror. That's natural, but stop being outraged at the hypocrisy, at the blatant corruption.
That's it.
Stop spending most of your time telling other people who agree with you, look at the blatant corruption. We're all shocked because this is just what people
Right.
don't do.
I mean,
It's as if
that's it.
after I've grown up in this civilization, and then at some point, a guy started smearing his own feces on other people and on himself, and they elected him. And then after
Yeah.
he did that, they elected him again. And I'm like, but
Yeah.
he just smeared feces on himself. That's not
Yeah.
healthy, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
pleasant, and it's wrong. That's just. And now, like half the country, it feels like that's my perception. Half the country is
Yeah.
smearing, you know,
Right.
and on the other side, they think that's what we're doing because, well, because they lots of reasons. Fox News.
Yeah.
I think before there were a million cable channels and before the internet, when there was just Walter Cronkite and like Huntley and Brinkley, and you basically it was this the network news was like very neutrally presented, and both parties had different political views, but they
Yeah.
knew they had to work together. So
Yeah.
they would sometimes have heated rhetoric toward each other, but still basically, I don't know, there was a lot of terrible stuff happening then too, you know, like if you were black, for instance, or if you were a woman in an abusive marriage and you couldn't even get a checking account because women
Yeah.
couldn't get married women had to have their husband's permission to start a checking, like, you know,
Yeah.
not saying anything new. Um,
Yeah.
but going back to that, like racing back to that and trying to top it, you know, is pretty shocking. But you have to try to find a moment of happiness because otherwise we're all going to die. I'm hoping to still be alive when Mr. Gorbachev smashes that wall. I'm hoping to still be alive when
Yeah. Sure.
Donald Trump is in prison. I want to see the arc of history bend a little closer towards let's get along and be nice to each other. And I can't think about those things without turning into I don't know what, like a liberal version of drunk uncle.
The media landscape of which the web is a part of, and this is something that I want to dig into with you, because it's like I think you can point a pretty strong finger at that, because at the end of the day, we're a bunch of primates, right? With our brains wired a certain way. And when push this button, like, we have no choice but to react with a fight or flight, response. And there's a lot of, this field of psychology and our better understanding of our brains and how we can be manipulated, coupled with the evolution of our media platforms, is very much to,
They make the
like,
most money by triggering that primal
right.
at the start of 2001. We just learned from the obelisk that if we smash and smash and smash, we can
Yeah.
use a bone as a weapon and crush the head of our enemy. And it feels good to
Yeah.
finally be able to do that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like everyone is acting out early childhood trauma.
If you were to look at, the physical environment, you're looking at a well manicured lawn, you're looking at, running water, anything that you could describe as being comfortable. And the people inside of that dwelling are terrified, utterly and completely
Right.
terrified, and are just whipped up into a frenzy. The world is a nightmare. The world is, people are bad and they're coming to get you, is
But
really, really,
in some cases they are. Right?
well,
You can't travel
yes.
to the trans people can't travel to the United States, quite, or they can only travel with a humiliating passport. Someone just said a great thing. Oh, the reason they don't want us to teach history is so they can repeat it.
You've been a part of the web, not exactly since its inception, but
No, but
you've,
1995.
and one of the things that I really struggle with and really want to hear how you think about this is everything we've just been talking about, which is, we have how this has played out, what real damage has been done, and the web's, kind of role in it. But also, those right out of the gate, those ideals and those really idealistic values and the value system of the World Wide Web, I believe still to be true. And I struggle with what I see and what I've seen play out with that belief that I still hold pretty dearly. Curious to get your thoughts on where you sit with all of this.
Well, one reason I like working at Automatic is because we make a product that allows people to express themselves, and it's complicated. What I just said was a vast oversimplification of the
Sure.
weird way that WordPress exists as a free open source product, and also Automatic contributes and all that. And we definitely don't need to go into all that. But
Yeah.
one of the things we make helps people tell their own story. So
Mhm.
if someone, and even as simple as, even the social networks that are open to people can go like, you know what, I don't want anyone, like Elon Musk can go, you know what, I'm going to make sure no one sees your comment. And not just Elon Musk, anyone running any commercial social media platform has the ability to decide who they're going to reward and who they're going to punish. And look, there's no guarantee that anyone's going to come to your blog or your company website. So you have to do other things to try to get that traffic, but you don't have to I still believe in that, you know, when I started, it was like, you could publish even if a publisher said no to your manuscript. You can put your art on display to the world, even if all the galleries in your local town said, no, your art's not very good. And
Yeah.
it'll find an audience somewhere.
Yep.
I still believe in that. I still believe in all that positive stuff. The problem is we are these primates and our brains are wired in certain ways. And some of us have so much of the self-preservation gene that
Mhm.
becomes the only thing that matters. And they look at that and go, if I tricked half these people, I could make $1 million. But $1 million isn't cool. You know what's cool? $1 billion. Like if I trick them harder,
Yeah.
nobody's offered me that kind of money. So I can't really judge. I'd like to believe that if I got super rich, I would be generous. And based on past experience, I wouldn't hoard it, and I would give a lot of it away. But, but I don't know. I've never had the temptation other people have had, and some very early in their life, when they're young. So
Yeah.
if you grow up a billionaire, you've been a billionaire since, 2 years earlier, your mom was still making your sandwiches, and now you're a billionaire. Like, that's got to put you on a different trajectory
It
from
sure
your
is.
other
Yeah.
people. It's not your fault. It doesn't make you a bad person, but it also doesn't make you special. Like, that you don't have to worry about money doesn't mean that you somehow won or are better.
Right.
It's luck. Like, you should really know, if you think it's just your genius, if Jeff Bezos thinks, I really figured, he did figure a lot of smart shit out. He also hired a lot of smart people. And I'm sure in the course of things, he always cut the deal so that he benefited the most. That's what most founders do, not all. And it's not the greatest way to do it, but I understand the impulse.
Sure.
If you don't have other people's money, then you have to be partners. You start a business by saying, do you want to start a company together? We can split it 50-50. You could do that because no one's funding it.
Right.
If you're in more traditional business or more traditional tech and web businesses, I think the money corrupted it immediately, like it does everything, right?
Yeah.
The naive web that we all put together, some of us started making really serious cash. Some of us got screwed. I guess the fantasy that only the good parts of human nature would be transmitted by this great device, that was fantasy. The truth
Yeah.
is, you could be wanting to kill yourself and then read something from someone who has the same problem as you and go, I'm going to stay alive today. Like, the web
Yep.
has tremendous potential to help, especially people who
Yep.
are remote or people who have, like, a censoring government or,
Yep.
a culturally restrictive. No, we don't send girls to school. If they learn to read somehow, they can use the web to, like, get out of that place eventually and
Yep.
learn a skill and everything. I still believe that. It organized some really good movements in the aughts, I guess we call it. We're in the teens, I guess. We're
Sure.
empowered by things like Twitter, but now the harm outweighs the good. So I think it's fantastic that I can learn how to do something new by watching videos that people put online for free,
Yeah.
and that I can read somebody else's book, even if, you know, I think the ability to, it's what they didn't have in the Middle Ages. Middle Ages, only a few priests had knowledge. So therefore, the people were ignorant and very easily led. And we could blunder into another dark age the way we're going. And yet we have the tool to do just the opposite. It's painfully ironic and frustrating at times. I
Yeah.
feel good about what I do at my job and what my company does,
Yeah.
but I don't feel great about the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that that's a good distinction. And when you like open source software is such a great example of that ethos of the early web coming
Yes,
to fruition.
absolutely.
You have millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of people all hitting a problem and pooling our collective knowledge and know-how in eyeballs and brains and pointing it in the same direction. And things like Wikipedia and other things like that, I think, are also like really good testaments to it. YouTube, despite being that's a more complicated because of its like algorithm and whatever, but setting the algorithm aside, just like you were saying, it's like to be able to like watch somebody. Like just this morning I fixed my glasses. I was like, my glasses are sliding down my nose. I'm like, just fire up a quick video on like how to fix that and
That's a
what
great story. And
watch a
everything,
woman
admiring your
put their
glasses.
glasses in a cup of hot water and
That's what they do.
end it, and there we go.
Like tea hot or just
Yeah.
faucet hot. Like
Like
boil it?
around there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In between boiling and faucet hot.
Wow.
And it's just like you just bend them, and it was like a short, you know what I mean? So it's like you're talking about like 50 seconds, you know. I'm like, ah, that's great.
I
It's beautiful.
always prefer written. I do better with written, but with lots of illustrations and occasional video clips inside it.
Yeah.
But when
The
the
wiki
whole thing is
how.
video,
Yeah.
when the whole thing is video, I'm just like, what was that again? Like I just go nuts with that. Like just
I
so I
agree.
prefer writing, but most people don't. Most people prefer video.
There's some really
I mean,
interesting stuff though. Like it's coming back to what we were talking about earlier with music and like this the fact that the web is this multimedia environment, and even you were asking this ahead of time, you're like, is this going to be audio and only, is it going to be audio and video, and frankly I don't know, like I haven't
oh,
put
I
this
want
thing
the
out into
video
the
now.
world yet.
I think our expressions help communicate. I don't want it because it's such a
Right.
great background or I look so pretty. It's just because it's easier to follow the conversation somehow, I
But
think.
I think that that's what's interesting, and like you have these different modalities, and you have different people learning different ways, and it's not an either or type thing where it's like some people do want the YouTube version of it, some people do want the tutorial, some people do want just give me the book or give me the
It's a yes
textured
and.
like totally, and that these things could actually be sort of merged and applied. And the web is is this medium that accomplishes that like nothing else. It's
Right.
truly it's like it's that still is a miracle to me that you could have text. Here's an embedded YouTube video, text. Like here's like a block quote and links out to these other things. It's stunning. And like
It is.
we don't celebrate that stuff like we should. It's like just like really reflecting on the miracle that that has emerged with this despite it all.
I
Despite
think
it all.
for longer form creative people, their own blogs or websites are probably the best medium for their ideas. You obviously do that. And then the social media is a nice second to either lead people to it or just make a small, a small joke or a small share a news article or share a link to somebody else's work that you like. But
Yes.
and if we could include it, if we could include that stream in our own websites, which I
Yeah.
think we're close to,
Like
that
the
could be
web
cool.
mentions and stuff like that. Yeah.
But but it's still you kind of have to be Tontic to some degree to do. You have to be an engineer at least a little bit to really do a federated blog and all that and
Yeah.
really get it right yet. I think that stuff exists and I wish I was the kid just starting to figure that out the way we were with the web. Like it was great to be a lot younger and just figuring out a new technology at the dawn of a new millennium. Just be
Yeah.
like, wow, this is the greatest time ever to be alive. And there are people who feel that way right now about AI for better or worse and
Mhm.
other things. But I feel like if I can use this to extend my creativity and do more work, but then spend more time with my kid or my friends, that's the best.
I mean, that's amazing. What's it all for? What's it all
What's it
for?
all for?
I mean, and that's you know, you get into things like impact and legacy. And I always laugh because you always get some award that I didn't know existed until you received it. And I really like love that. And I feel like your legacy is a very interesting one in that there and don't get I'm not trying to diminish it. I just like think it's funny
Wait,
because
me?
of like yeah,
You're talking about me
you're like, "Oh, I
personally?
got this like lifetime achievement award for like some sort of organization of media
The
professionals."
marquee who's who. I think
Yeah,
I still owe those people another payment. That's probably why they're calling. But you can't pay to get in. But then once
right,
you're in, if you want to appear in the book, here's a fee. If you want your article to be a full page, there's a fee. Well, of course there's a fee. They've got to pay someone to I get paid for my work. They have
right.
employees. They have to like I get it.
Yep.
I remember when we first started having web awards,
Hmm.
people who hadn't worked at ad agencies, for example, I'd worked at an ad agency, were like very naively going, they charge money. I'm like, yeah, all those awards, because they have to rent a space to have the show. They're going to have to cater the event. They're going to have
Yeah.
people will have to buy. It's a whole thing. You don't do that just because you want to do 10,000 hours of work for free every month. So I always knew what Who's Who was because I'm older than you, and they would talk about it when I was a kid. And my dad got into Who's Who at some point. So I was like an engineer of note after he published a book about robotics in the early
Amazing.
70s. And I was like, that's cool. And I thought it was the same thing as people with photos of their kids on their desk. Oh, those squares. My dad's such a square with it. And then when I did it, I thought, first I thought, this is stupid. And then I thought, no, I can leave something for my daughter, a plaque that she can show her kids if I'm not around someday for her kids or for her kids when they're old enough to ask questions about what did grandpa do. So
Yeah.
it makes sense and it's not stupid at all.
But then you have this entire body of work of this deeply personal writing at times that I think about that a lot, now that, my daughter's here. And I
I
think
stopped
about,
writing. First, when I was getting divorced, I went from writing all the time to I can't really talk about what's happening.
mm,
And then when my daughter had problems, like it was like, that's her story. I'd love to write about it because I think there were lessons and there was love and, and the way to do that is to write a play or write a book and hope somebody buys it, you know,
yeah,
but
yeah,
not to talk about what my daughter said. So as my life has become more and more about other people, I had less and less to say. And it said, and then I started businesses and you can't really tell people. Like if you're throwing a conference and just chaos got suddenly dropped in it
yeah,
2 weeks before the show, it would
yeah,
be a huge relief for Jeffrey Zeldman, who tells you what he ate for lunch, to be able to tell you, oh, what I'm dealing with. Oh my God, but I can't. It would
yeah,
hurt the event. It would hurt the other people. So
yeah,
basically, the more interesting my life got, wow, I'm a dad. I'm a married man. I'm a dad. I'm a business owner. Each of those things are like, I can't write about that.
yeah.
I mean, there's people who do, Jason Fried, but it's not personal. It's about the
Sure.
business
No,
lessons he's learned.
right,
That's
right,
fine. I was never
right.
into that. I was much more, obviously, if I were to learn more business lessons, my business would probably still exist. So, I was into, this is fun. Let's start a publishing house. And then I'm like, oh my God, the market's changed. It's so difficult.
Yeah,
We're losing money. How long can we lose money? Can we turn it around? We're not turning it around. We're still losing money. Like at a certain point, you go, okay, realistically, I wish I knew better. And there's decisions, you always look at it was this stupid decision that caused the failure or whatever. But I
sure.
think, actually there's a time for sometimes you're lucky and you marry the person and you're going to be together for life. And sometimes you have a relationship and it's great for 3 or 4 years and then you change and it's nobody's fault and you move on or you don't and you're miserable or you make the other person miserable. So businesses have life cycles too. And the internet, the euphoric part of the internet, I'm so glad we were here for that and we got to invent stuff. You invented things that changed the world. I did. I told people, I didn't invent anything. I told people about things that could change the world, and that's great. And we're lucky that we had that. Um,
Yeah,
and if you can hold on to some part of that, like I do with my work or like I do when I write, nothing makes me happier than suddenly writing a blog post after having nothing to say.
it's amazing. It's,
You
it's,
people,
it's,
yeah.
it, yeah, that's it. That's it. You got it. It's just like the act in that. I feel, I don't know if you feel this way, but it's like I just have this like I have this feeling that starts off in the distance and then it gets closer and closer and there's like a real self-imposed urgency where you're like, I know it's been too long and
I
it's
know what
time.
I've just experienced. Oh, I do understand what happened. Oh, I've just
Yeah.
come out on the other end of something.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a problem with such and such. I still make this mistake. Like all of that is great. All of that is great.
All of that's
Yeah.
great. Like, so here's the thing, and this has been a really cool part of kind of having some of these conversations, um, is that the difference. Lots of people have those realizations about their life. Oh, I'm still making this mistake, and that's great, and that's healthy, and that's growth. When you learn something or realize you're not learning something, or you just notice, right? It's a noticing, right? There's one of the things, there are a couple of ways you can address that. Well, you can promptly forget about it, which we're all susceptible to. There is, oh, I'm going to take this lesson to heart and, adjust my behavior or try to, be better. And then there's this other step, which again, you've modeled for so long, which is I feel compelled to share this. And even though when you're writing it, it's in this like deeply personal perspective, which I've always admired and like I always love. There's the lessons, even if you're not like outwardly, sort of saying, and here's what you should do. I'm more explicit with it, which is like I catch myself in, but whatever. We all have our different styles, but like,
A lot of people love that, by the way, and there are a lot of people that are looking for that. Sometimes they just want to know, what should I do? Like sometimes
yeah,
your kid will say,
right,
Daddy, how do I handle this?
right.
And and
But
then
that,
when they ask, that's when you tell them. So
right,
that's okay.
right. But that extra step, kind of, and coming back to the ideals of the web, and that the web exists to be able to take that extra step, is, I think, really powerful, because we are putting these building blocks in place for people beyond our own biological cells to benefit from, or even like the people in our, you know relatively like small worlds, right? It's like that impact, that potential for impact, even if that's not even like what's like driving you to do it. You're just like kind of doing it as like a, as just the creative act.
It's
But
fun. You're compelled to play the bass, right? You
yes,
don't say, I'm going to play the bass because I want to cure cancer. Although you might end up doing, you might end up helping a charity by your music. Like
yeah,
that's totally possible. But yeah, you just like, I love doing this. This
yeah.
feels great. Like I'm not with keyboards and harmonies and like, yeah.
And if you could find ways to stack those things up, to couple, here's this thing that I'm compelled to do. I also happen to be, good at it, however you describe good. A lot of times we're our own worst critics, but it's like you're a good writer, whether or not you aw shucks that away. You're a great writer, right? So it's like you're compelled to do it, you're good at it. That's, and then that you're able to use those things and point those a deeper or more impactful place. That's like, you're talking about some real win-win-win-win-win situations that you could get yourself into, where it's just like, oh yeah, like I love doing this. I love playing music. I love getting together like with my friends and my family. I love like doing this. And why don't we all just do this and point it in this direction and raise some money, or like whatever that might be? It's like, that's some really powerful stuff right there, because it's not work, right? You're just like, you are making an impact as a natural extension of the thing that you feel just compelled to do, just even if you
Of who
weren't.
you are.
Yeah, yeah, yep. It's like just these happy byproducts of you just expressing yourself and being yourself.
And in a way, that's how you get to be Prince, your version of Prince, right? not with 50 brilliant albums, maybe, but you're making a difference to a group of people who look up to you, and you're learning from them, and you have a community
Right.
where it's like there's a flow. It's kind of great. That's one
Yeah.
thing artists don't have that we have. Artists get flow from other artists, right? So they collaborate on tracks and stuff. But it's rare that the audience is like doing a descant vocal for you or something. Like that's not going to
Yeah.
happen, right?
Right.
But
Right.
and we're probably all relieved that it won't happen. But still, there's something nice about the verbal medium because everyone can write.
Yes.
They don't have to be Hemingway. Everyone can write, and
Yes.
everyone can learn to do decent writing. And if you can't learn that, there are apps now that will say, hey, maybe saying very, very, very 3 times in a row isn't the most effective way to emphasize this point. Although it was in the Middle Ages. So good on you. Like you've got some deep roots. But you know what I
But
mean?
yeah.
You can learn. I
Yeah.
think I don't know
But
that music and art are the same. At a certain point, without a certain degree of talent, you just can't get past. You can love and appreciate, but I don't know, right? Or there's all I'm trying to say is there's a reason Robert De Niro didn't do much TV acting.
right.
Too big for that. So you find what you're good at, and you find people who love what you're good at, and then you're happy. And as long as you can pay your bills, and everyone you love is healthy, and the skies aren't filling with flying monkeys, you know,
There it is. Right.
there it
There it
is.
is. Right. It's
I have
again
a
the
suggestion.
what's it all for? The what's it
I
all
would
for?
like I would like to have a part 2 of this conversation. We've been talking for almost 2 hours,
Yes.
which flew by for me.
Me
Awesome.
too.
Maybe we can pick this up again about more about what can the web do now and all that if you
I
want.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. But
Cool.
I'm really happy that we had a chance to dive into some of these things. I think that these are exactly the conversations that I've been wanting to have. So I'm really I appreciate you so much
My
for
pleasure.
many, many
Thank you for
reasons.
inviting me. You are
For
you
many
are
reasons.
someone that I will always want to talk to. But and regardless, I look forward to hearing your conversations with others.
I knew that it was going to be good and insightful. And I think what's like really fun, just in the same way that once you do one website and then by the time you do your 10th one, you learn that there's some like themes that emerge and sort of things
Right.
that feel sturdy. And it's like, even though you did the movie website and then you did, some publication website and then you did some pharmaceutical, it's like, oh, these all share these qualities. Right. And
Or you like go on your 10th one. Navigation. That must be important to people. Or, just like
but with
in the
these
early days, we
conversations,
didn't know anything. Like, yeah, we were just like copying CD-ROMs. Let's get a full screen background in there and
all
let's
the
cut those
day.
GIFs apart. Come on. These GIFs aren't going to cut themselves apart.
But yeah, but it's been really fun to sort of like see these patterns emerge, and I think you touched on them like really well, which is it's just like here's just this family living according to your values, like doing things, putting things out into the world. This again, this ability to share and build community and find like fellow travelers and solve interesting problems and keep yourself interested. Try to live a good life despite it all. It's like that's I feel really good about that. These are things that if anyone listens to this thing, they're going to be hearing that shit on loop from
Yeah,
different
that's okay.
perspectives and different angles. Yeah, yeah, it's
That's
more
okay.
than okay. I think that that's exactly like what we desperately need. And so to hear it from these different people with these different perspectives, and it's been really, really cool. And that's again the theme of all of this is that it's just like, yeah, like how can we live creative, authentic, purposeful lives despite it all, and I
Okay.
think that there are some actual tangible, real things that people can take away from it. So
There's a reason that they had weddings in Harry Potter. Leaving aside the author of Harry Potter,
sure.
there's a reason that as Lord Voldemort is like gathering his troops and like wrecking the Tower of London and stuff, they're having a wedding. And it's precisely because things are so bad, you still have to do life affirming things.
Yes.
I know that in part, my wife and I married and had a baby almost immediately because we're New Yorkers and 9/11 had just happened. And we just wanted to repopulate the earth. Like,
Mm,
and my daughter, I think my daughter was supposed to be here no matter what. I think she was formed in galaxy far away and slowly traveled for millions of years. And then when we were born, they were like, okay, now these two will make her. She's
yeah.
ready to be born. Like, I think all that happened, but still, 9/11 helped. I know a lot of people who had kids the same time we did who I wouldn't have thought were going to either. Cause like they were like older and they already had careers and you're like, but yeah. So we're of our time, but we also do positive things in our time. We have to. That's been your theme, I think.
Beautiful. That's
And not
really
feel
well
guilty
said.
about it. Not
And
feel
not feel
guilty about it.
guilty about it. That's it. That's it. That's
Well,
great.
thank
That's what a beautiful way. All right, so we're gonna wrap up. We are going to do. We'll absolutely do a part two, and we'll talk more. But the last thing, bringing it back to music,
oh,
what I've been the only other last official question is,
yes.
what music would you like more people to know about?
There's still hip hop that sounds like 90s hip hop and it's really good at, I mean, there's still people, if you loved MF Doom, there's still people who are making that kind of abstract, funny, personal storytelling. Not if they do a gangster thing, it's like a parody or something.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
I
Yeah.
really love that article that your
Thanks. I think
collage.
as I was thinking it's not just the collage, it gives me something to look at while I listen to music. So I feel like I'm helping make the music, which in some way allows me to feel like I'm still making music.
It's what we were talking about with the liner notes. It's
Yeah.
this the multi-sensory, the participatory, it's you're finding ways to go deeper with it, even though the affordances of this software does not promote that. Now,
Right.
that said, this software, and I'm talking about like things like Spotify and stuff like that. Last FM, freaking awesome. I think that more people should purchase Last FM Pro. It's like it's been like kind of quietly in the background, just like doing the Lord's work and
Helping me find
amassing.
other artists that work with the artists, especially when if you listen to anything from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, like you don't know
Mm.
who those people are. You never heard of them. And then you discover and you're like, and then you discover things like, wait, they said that word in 1920. I thought my generation made that word up. Like, wait, really? Like people knew about that. You know, we're always discovering that there's always been party people as long as, you know, throughout history. And
Sure,
there's always like lots of stuff. Um,
amazing.
but Count Bass D is great. And Your Old Droog is great. Your Old Droog, like in Clockwork Orange, Alex, Your Old Droog,
Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
Russian, Jewish. I'm not sure what other ethnicities are in the mix. I don't know. I've never met him. I talked
Okay,
to him a little bit, which was the high point of my life. When I had a
amazing.
book apart, he was like, he approached me and I was like, oh, I want to do this so badly. And we don't publish that kind of book. B, I'm afraid we'll be shut down in 2 months. And I tried to find him and the people I know who make design books, like brilliant people like Mike Essel, they're like, I'd love to, but I'm so busy. Like, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's always the thing. The people,
yeah.
you know, who are the most brilliant are the most busy. And yeah, so, but
So your old Droog and who else did
Count
you
Bass
what was
D, like Count Basie, but Count Bass D.
that's that's why I wanted to clarify it, because I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I heard Count Basie, and I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
okay,
you're
great.
not talking about a hip hop artist. But
He
yeah,
was
there we
he
go.
started, like, making soul music, and, like, doing all these multi-track recordings where he played all the instruments, drums, keyboards, you got the Todd Rundgren of, you
Yep.
know and then, his records didn't sell, but that didn't bother him. He just changed to become a rapper and make a completely different kind of music, which is also great. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
usually when people sell out, they suck. But this guy
Yeah.
didn't sell out. He just went, oh, I'll just change genres. And that's like a director who makes great comedies and then decides, no, horror is my thing. And it's like they're great with that too. So, and I, of course, still listen to the Brian Eno classics, the David Bowie classics. I listen to a lot of people who composed soundtracks for film because sometimes I watch a film and go, I want to hear this music now without the picture. Let me
That's really
see,
cool.
and let me see if the mood comes back. And music's the best because it makes you cry. It makes you cry
Yeah.
better than just about anything. Even stories can't make you cry the way music can make you cry. And identify with people you have nothing in common with, and yet you have everything in common with them. And that's the thing, right?
And
Like
that's the power. And that's
that's
the
the power.
power.
That's the power.
Yeah. Beautiful.
I'm gonna have the best weekend now. You're sending me off into it on a cloud. So thank you.
I love it. I love it. Me too. And seriously, thank you so much for doing this, and for everything. Like I really owe
You
so
too.
much to you. And so
You too,
thank
whether
you.
you know it or not. Yeah, you too.